a suspicion about what the two takes were. And I think my difficulty is that, like, I don't think either one is wrong. So for listeners who may have not seen it or haven't seen it recently, in the end of the blind date, they're making out outside, and the girl who's played by Olivia Wilde pulls back and kind of says, you know, you're not just gonna fuck me and then not call me next week, right? Like, I want this to be a committed relationship. And then Joaquin Phoenix's character, the main character of the show, Theodore, kind of takes a pause and is like, what? And is thrown a little bit off guard, and they had been having such a fun, like, relaxed, silly evening together, and then he's kind of like, well, actually, maybe we should call it a night, even though it was clear they were headed in the direction of sex, and he was like, actually, let's just call it. And then Olivia Wilde's character proceeds to call him a creep, says you're a really creepy dude, and is like, I'm not going to waste my time. Goodbye. So my thought was, one, they get really drunk. Both of them get drunk during this date. And it's really funny how that just, like, the beer goggles effect, right? Like, it's so real. Any adult has experienced that at some point in their lives. Maybe not every adult, but most. I think we can understand that phenomenon. So it's like there's that to me that's coloring this. And I so feel for Olivia Wilde's character, who is like, I'm having fun. I'm trying to have fun. I'm just trying to go with the flow and be fun and not put pressure on things. But also, like, I want something serious. Like, that's what matters to me. And I don't want to have another experience where I hook up with a guy on a first date, even though that sounds fun and it sounds like something I want to do, but then I get my hopes up and it just goes down the drain. And then we have Joaquin Phoenix's character, who is like, I was just trying to have fun. He's coming out of a divorce, or he actually hasn't at this point, I think, signed the divorce papers yet. And it's like, I am just trying to have fun and get back out there, and commitment feels like a lot, but he's not the type of guy to not just call to you know, one night stand and be disrespectful. But also, he is not the most, like, uncreepy dude in the world. And so it's kind of like this weird, I just so feel for both sides. And I think that my final conclusion that I took away was that this scene really served to show how difficult human connection is and how messy it is when two human beings interact with each other. And even the global audience reaction being like, well, no, this is what's going on here. No, this is what's going on here. No, this is what's going on, is like, do we see all of the vastly complicated ways that we interact with each other and all of the nuance that comes up in relationship? And you don't really have to worry about that with an OS that's designed for you. This is why human connection is so hard, is because of this. And it's easier to not have to worry about being misunderstood or misinterpreted, or a guy being a creep and not calling you back, or a girl wanting commitment too early when I was just trying to have fun, or divorces, or all of the baggage that human beings have, that, like, a brand new operating system does not have that. They just don't. They don't have a whole human life. And humans are inherently messy. We are messy and loud and annoying and made to take up space. Yeah. So I'll throw that out there. What did you think? What was your kind of gut reaction to it, and thoughts about the audience kind of global reaction to it too?
Yeah. So it was very interesting to me. When I first watched it, and I've watched it twice now, at least, maybe a third. I think I watched it 3 times. But the first time I watched it, had going into it fresh, I sided with Theodore. My immediate thought was, wow, this escalated quickly. Like, this doesn't seem like a Olivia Wilde's character, who I don't even think is named, actually. I'm not sure she ever, because
No,
when I looked
yeah.
up on IMDb, she was just labeled as blind date, so didn't even have a name. So notice that as well. My initial thought was, is wow, it just seems like this escalated so quickly. The first thing I thought was, is, you know, insecure attachment. Wow, to immediately like go from 0 to 60. I mean, the idea of, the immediate, borderline personality disorder sort of floated into my mind, and I'm like, wow, this doesn't seem like a stable person. And then, my partner was like completely the opposite about that, and she was like, wow, I totally see it differently. Like, I think she was just, wanting some reassurance. Like, that doesn't seem, are you, is this a real thing, or are you just want to fuck me? Is that what it is? And so we talked about it for a good 10 minutes, and what was nice was, is we were, I mean, and maybe this is just because I actually think my partner is always open minded, and I'm the one who's usually more closed minded, to be honest. But what I was proud of myself was that, instead of immediately retrenching into my position of, no, you're, of course you would think, and having some kind of an argument, or it really made me open my eyes and think about it. Like, what did Olivia Wilde's character do? I mean, what? Yes, I mean, no, and then, so I broke it down a little more, and there's an early scene. I mean, if you watch the dynamics play out, there's the intro scene where they're meeting each other, and there's this nervousness, but generally a happiness. Oh, hey, this, I've heard this. The bartender's great here. You want to get drinks? Oh yeah, let's get drinks. So then they both get tipsy, and and you can feel the shift. I mean, to credit Olivia Wilde, she, from an actor perspective, did an incredible job showing that subtle difference between. I mean, it really was, to me, a masterclass in acting on her part, in terms of
Yeah.
really getting into the role. So, and they're both a little bit drunk, but then immediately the what, a trope that comes up is this: the party girl, right? Like, oh, she's a party girl, she just goes out and gets drunk, like, that's how she relates to people. Um and and so, that immediately came in, but then she said something that was very interesting, how I responded to it. And she said something that I guess I personally, or at least there's a part of me that took as a little bit condescending, interestingly. And it was this, oh, you're just such a little puppy dog. You remind me of this puppy dog I rescued, and blah blah blah. I don't remember it. He was so cute, just like you, and so horny too. And so immediately, like, that, I noticed, gave me a negative view towards her, because this was the first time, like, I mean, in what we saw. I mean, obviously there was banter, maybe there was more sexual energy, but this was the first, like, explicit, oh, this is what we're on. This is a meat market, perhaps. You look like a horny puppy dog, and for some reason, there's a part of me that took umbrage to that, which was interesting to notice. So I think that's the point where somehow my brain made a decision. Oh, well, this character's just messed. That was a rude thing to do. Like, she's typing him. Now, the funny thing is he admits later on, when he's talking to the AI, Samantha, that, she really wasn't that far off in the mark. Well, really, I just wanted to have sex with her. He says to the AI. He says to Samantha. So, but in that, so I'd already turned there. Then, they continue the date, right? They're making out, and and even interestingly, a couple of times, like, they're kissing, and Olivia Wilde's character goes, not so much tongue, not so much tongue. And even that, I noticed, like, a part of me, like, sort of cinched up a little bit at that, which was also just interesting. Like, not judging, just noticing as I look through it. So what is it about, like, and it was something in the way she said it, not because, I mean, listen, if you don't like something, that's consensual. Like, I would never in want to do something that somebody else didn't like that's not, so, and again, I'm putting my own lens, and I'm inhabiting the
Right,
character's
right, right,
body,
right.
right? I'm only able to do that, so I'm looking at it from my perspective through the character's eyes, like, but it's really through my eyes, as if I were the character. So that was a little bit off-putting to me. And then the rapid escalation, of, first of all, she's the one who started the encounter. She's the one who put her hand down his pants, number one. So he wasn't being overly sexual with her. She was aggressive. And again, this was the lens I was looking at it. I'm not saying it's accurate or
Yeah.
not, but when I first
Right.
watched it, this was the lens. And then all of a sudden, then rather than talking about it before, like, hey, I don't, I'm looking for something, rather than just setting expectations ahead of time, like, this is what I'm looking for. Like, I want to get to know you, whatever the case is, or hey, I want to have fun, but I also am looking for something, whatever the case is. It feels like there was no communication. She initiated something, and then, but then sort of put all these conditions on it, which was, and it just escalated from there. And then she's like, you're a creep, which again, so it's this idea of valuing and devaluing, right? Oh, I really feel a connection with you. Oh, you're really a creep. And so, my immediate view was, wow, this character, and I don't, and so I see why I felt that way. But at the same time, in a rewatch, and after thinking about it and reading what other people said and reflecting on my partner and her view and thinking about it, I actually saw it very differently the second time. And looked at it through a different lens and made some notes. And so it kind of changed my view on it on second watching last night, or third watching, whatever it was last night. I noticed new things and really sort of changed my viewpoint a little bit. So yeah, that was my, and so I think it's curious. So I don't know. I'll stop there for a second and get your thoughts on what I've said and how that tracks with you. And
totally, I'm really curious to hear your second draft, second round thoughts too. But I don't think anything that you said is wrong. Like you said, it's kind of like, anytime you watch a movie or you're watching a character, it is inherently like experiencing what the character is experiencing, but through your own lens. And I think the pieces, I'll agree when she said, oh, you're just like a little kicked puppy dog that I adopted. I was like, ooh, ooh, like that does feel demeaning, and that does feel patronizing. And now we have this kind of like golden retriever boyfriend trope that is like, like the cute little boyfriend who is like just always so happy and so nice, and is like the girlfriend kind of wears the pants in the relationship kind of feeling thing. And I don't know, I think anything that puts someone else down, maybe that's not entirely the right way to say it. Anything that creates a power dynamic, I think I immediately like kind of tense up at, because it's like, wait, we want to make sure everyone is on equal footing here. And so many things in life are structured in such a way to create a power dynamic. And it's like, how can we get back to this like even playing field? It's interesting because the little puppy was so horny part did not, like, to me, that was not the thing that was weird about it at all. Like, maybe an implicitly sexual comment, but to me, I'm like, yeah, you could make the sexual comments, like, fine, whatever, because it also is kind of like testing the waters. Like, is this person that I'm on a date with going to be open to, like, how physical do they want to get on a first date? Like, what's their 2 cents with that? And the puppy dog thing was really the thing that I was like, ooh, that doesn't feel good. That feels patronizing and demeaning. But then what does he come back and say? He says, I don't want to be a puppy dog, I want to be a dragon. And
right, yeah,
when
yeah.
she turns and is like, she almost looks a little impressed and is like, you can be my dragon. I was kind of like, okay, what actually a mature way to handle this that was like, hey, actually that doesn't feel good. I don't want to be some puppy dog that you whatever. But dragon, and then they're kind of being like flirty and sexual. It's like, oh, but he still does pick up the sexual energy that she's putting down, right? And there's almost this like, okay, maybe he's different than I thought, and we'll move into this direction. And I was like, wow, that actually is an interesting way to handle it. And then with her being
about that, though,
kind of, yeah. No, please.
Well, no, just one thing that I noticed too, because you were talking just about the dragon thing. He then goes, well, I want to be a dragon so I can tear you apart, but I won't, and so it was just interesting how he was trying to reclaim power. In that, like this, oh well, I want to be a dragon so I can tear you apart and destroy you. It was just interesting. But anyway, continue on. I didn't want to.
Yeah.